You crouch close to the fire. The flames spit and hiss, their tongues of light licking upward, straining against the black. Shadows dance on the cave wall behind you, not gentle shadows, but sharp, jagged things that move too fast, too alive. Your skin prickles with the ancient certainty that what lurks in the dark is not imagined. It is watching. The air is heavy with damp earth and the iron sting of blood. Somewhere far off, an owl screams, cut short by something larger, faster. Then silence again. Silence thicker than sleep, the kind that makes your body tense, every nerve listening, every muscle ready to flee. The tribe is small tonight, only 12 souls. The others are gone, scattered in search of roots, fish, or game. You are left here with the women, the youngest hunters, the elders, the vulnerable. And now in the night you hear it, a low growl, the kind that rumbles through the bones, older than language, older than fear itself. Your people go still. Eyes widen, throats tighten. One man grips a sharpened stick so hard the wood creaks. Another clutches a child to her breast, whispering words in a tongue too ancient to ever be written. The sound grows closer. Step by step, padded paws crush leaves and twigs in the dark. The beast does not rush. It does not fear. It knows what it is and what you are. Prey, a branch snaps, your pulse spikes. And then from the tree line it comes, the saber-tooth, Smilodon. Its body moves like smoke, rippling with muscle under a coat of shadow and amber fur. Firelight catches the glint of its teeth, impossibly long, curved like ivory blades. Each fang is longer than your hand, sharper than the best flint. Its head is broad, jaw thick with power, eyes molten and cruel. It does not stalk like the lions of the plains. It does not roar like the beasts of story. Smilodon is silent death, silent until it chooses otherwise. Tonight it chooses sound. It exhales a growl that shakes the marrow in your bones. The fire trembles in its reflection. Your people huddle tighter, faces pale, hands slick with sweat. You can almost feel the beast's hunger in the air, hot, greedy, patient. The cat circles. One step, then another. Its paws are soft as whispers, but each one feels like thunder in your chest. Its tail flicks, a warning, a promise. The fire hisses as a log collapses into glowing embers. The circle of safety shrinks. You think of stories, of hunters taken in the grass, of bones cracked open and licked clean. You remember the stories of children dragged screaming into the night. Your ancestors have seen this monster before. They have faced it and they have lost. You clutch your stick, a thin spear hardened in the fire. In your hand it feels like a toy. What is wood against those teeth? What is flesh against that weight? It crouches. Shoulders roll forward, muscles coil like drawn rope. It is ready to strike. Your breath stops. Every instinct screams the same command. Run. Run into the forest, into the dark, into anywhere but here. But you do not run, not tonight, because something is different. The fire is small, but it is fire. And the tribe is weak, but it is together. The beast is stronger, but it is alone. For the first time, the thought blooms in your mind like a spark catching dry grass. What if we are not prey anymore? The Smilodon growls again, teeth gleaming in the firelight. Your knuckles tighten around the spear. The flame flickers higher, spitting sparks into the night. The beast steps closer. Your tribe leans in. The air hangs on the edge of a scream. And there, in the silence before the lunge, in the heartbeat before blood, the question is born. But what if the humans aren't the prey anymore? The fire crackles, but it does not comfort you, not when it is near. The saber-tooth circles, and for a moment you see its full shape in the light, not myth, not rumor, but muscle and bone forged by 1,000,000 years of evolution. This is no ordinary cat. This is the Smilodon. Its head is massive, built like a hammer. The skull is thick, jaw muscles knotted and corded, designed to drive those dagger fangs deep into flesh. Each tooth is longer than the blade of a stone knife. Some grew over 7 inches, curved and serrated, sliding between ribs, punching into arteries. When it bites, it does not crush like a lion. No, the Smilodon stabs. It sinks its sabers into the throat, into the belly, into the soft parts that matter most. Its bite force alone may be weaker than modern lions, but it does not need brute strength. Those fangs were scalpels, precision weapons made to kill with one strike. Its body is compact, stocky, built for ambush. Unlike the cheetah that runs or the wolf that chases, Smilodon hunts with patience. It waits, silent, still, invisible in the grass until the world goes calm. And then, in one heartbeat, it strikes, a thunderclap of muscle, claws, and steel teeth. You imagine its weight. 300, 400 pounds of coiled predator slamming into you. The force knocks air from lungs, cracks ribs against earth. Claws rake, teeth sink, blood spills. By the time you scream, you are already finished. This beast was not made for long chases. Its body could not run forever, but it didn't have to. It needed only one moment, one strike. And in the ancient dark, that was enough. Your ancestors knew the sound of that strike. The scream of a horse dragged into the grass. The silence after a child went missing. The trail of bones found at dawn, marrow split, skull punctured, life stolen. It was the shadow of the world before fire, the apex before humans dared call themselves hunters. For thousands of years, this predator ruled. From the grasslands of South America to the frozen plains of the north, its kind thrived. Fossils tell the tale, bones buried with the marks of its teeth, skulls found cracked and pierced, skeletons of mammoths and bison torn open by saber fangs. It was not just an animal. It was an empire of fear. And tonight, here by your dwindling fire, you feel the weight of that empire pressing on your chest. You are small, hairless, fragile. It is vast, powerful, patient. The truth is clear, brutal as bone. You were never meant to win this fight. Not with your bare hands. Not with your brittle bones. Not against the monster that nature built for killing. It is a mismatch written into flesh itself. The Smilodon crouches in the grass, muscles like boulders under its skin. Its fangs glint in the firelight, its breath steams in the cold. It is the perfect predator. And you are only meat. The saber-tooth crouches. Its muscles ripple like rivers of stone. Its fangs gleam like daggers. Every instinct in your body screams the truth. You are not built for this world. Your skin is soft, bare, naked against the night. No fur to shield you from cold, no armor to guard you from claws. You shiver in the dark while the beast wears a coat of strength and silence. Look at yourself. No claws, no fangs, no speed. Your legs cannot outrun the deer. Your arms cannot wrestle the bear. Even the smallest jackal has sharper teeth than you. When stripped of your fire and your sticks, you are nothing but flesh stretched over fragile bones, easy to tear, easy to break. A cruel mismatch. Nature's joke. This was not a fight. It was a physics problem. The predator is mass and momentum, weight and muscle. You are bone and skin, fear and heartbeat. Every law of nature, every calculation of force and power leans toward your death. Even the senses betray you. The cat can smell blood carried on the wind. It can hear the scuttle of a mouse in the dark. Its eyes drink starlight as if the night were day. And you squint, you stumble, you whisper prayers you do not know the words for. It seems hopeless. It is hopeless. The bones in the earth tell the story. Shattered skulls, rib cages punctured by saber fangs, skeletons of your kind left in caves alongside claw marks carved deep into the stone. For thousands of years, humans were not hunters. Humans were food. You huddle together, clutching sticks blackened by fire, and you know, if the beast strikes, your weapons will snap like reeds. If it chooses to kill, you will fall one by one, the weak first, then the strong, until the flames burn alone. And yet, somewhere in that mismatch, something begins to stir. Because though you have no claws, you have hands that shape the world. Though you have no fangs, you have minds that sharpen wood and stone. Though you cannot outrun the beast, you can remember, you can plan, you can dream of the strike before it happens. The predator is strength, but you are thought. And thought, fragile as it seems, is the only weapon that might turn the balance. The cat waits in the dark. Its breath steams, its fangs glint, its hunger sharpens. The circle of fire is small, fragile, only a breath away from dying. If the flames falter, you know what comes next. Teeth, claws, silence. But the fire does not falter. Not yet. A log shifts, sparks leap into the night sky, and for an instant the beast recoils. Not far, just a step, just a twitch of hesitation, but enough. And in that hesitation, the world changes. Because for the first time in history, the predator does not advance. It stops. And for the first time, the humans do not flee. They remain. The fire hisses, spits, roars louder as new wood is thrown upon it. Flames stretch upward, gold and red and white, casting light into a darkness that has always belonged to others. Shadows of men and women flicker on the rocks, not weak, not prey, but giants of flame. You see the cat's eyes narrow. It growls, pacing the edge of firelight, but it does not cross. And you understand, this is no ordinary glow. This is power. Fire is not muscle. It is not fang. It is not claw. It is something else entirely. It is terror turned outward. It is the mind given form. When your ancestors first held fire, they did not only gain warmth. They gained a wall, a weapon, a god. Predators that had stalked your kind for millennia, lions, wolves, leopards, saber-tooths, all blinked and turned back when the flames rose. Archaeologists will one day find the blackened stones of Wonderwork Cave in Africa, 500,000 years old, scarred with ash. They will find Jesher Benot Yaakov in the Levant, burned flint from 800,000 years ago. They will find Kesem Cave in Israel, where ancient hearths whisper of families gathered around firelight, safe from what once ruled the dark. But you do not know these names. You only know this. Tonight, the fire is alive, and it is on your side. The cat growls again, tail lashing, eyes locked on you. Hunger drives it forward, but caution holds it back. It does not understand this new thing, this roaring serpent of light and heat. It only knows it does not like the sting, the sparks, the strange courage it places in human hands. One of your tribe raises a burning branch high. The flames snap, showering sparks. The beast snarls, but it steps back. A gasp breaks from your throat. You see it, you feel it. The predator, for the first time, yields, and the spark inside your mind roars louder than the fire itself. This is not just survival. This is revolution. For fire does not sleep. Fire does not bleed. Fire does not fear. And as long as the flames burn, the night belongs not to the beast, but to you. The fire gave you courage, but courage without teeth is only noise. The saber-tooth still waits at the edges of the firelight, its breath steaming, its eyes glowing. The flames may hold it back for a night, a season, perhaps a lifetime. But you know this truth: fire does not hunt. Fire only defends. If you are to rise above prey, you must strike. And so begins the shaping of wood. A branch is cut, sharpened against stone until the point glimmers like bone. It is crude, it is simple, but it is something new. For the first time, the hand is not only for throwing rocks or gripping meat. The hand becomes the parent of weapons. The spear is born. At first, it is only thrust. Held tight, jabbed into the ribs of a beast at arm's length. Dangerous, clumsy, terrifying, many die learning its use. But those who live begin to see, this is more than a stick. This is a tooth borrowed from the earth itself. Time passes. The spears grow longer, stronger, hardened in the fire. The tips are carved with stone, then lashed with sinew. The point becomes sharper, deadlier, kissed with flint that can pierce hide. And then, one day, a leap of thought, not just to hold the spear, but to throw it. The first throw is clumsy, falling short. The second misses. The third strikes, glancing off hide. But then, with practice, the hunter's arm grows true. The spear arcs through the air, spins, and strikes with a force greater than any claw of flesh. The predator has strength. The human now has distance. Archaeologists will one day find the spears of Schöningen in Germany, wooden weapons over 300,000 years old, balanced and shaped with care, proof that humans were hunters long before they were kings. They will find barbed points in Africa, carved to tear through fish and flesh alike. They will find the atlatl, a lever of wood that hurls the spear farther and faster than the arm alone, turning man into a catapult of death. But you do not know these names. You only know this: the day the spear flew through the air, the world itself shifted. Because for the first time, you did not need to touch the beast to kill it. You did not need to meet its claws with your skin. You could stand apart. You could strike from safety. The saber-tooth crouches at the treeline. You grip the spear, arm trembling. The firelight flickers. The beast growls. And then you hurl. The spear arcs, whistling through the night. It strikes the earth before the cat's paw. Sparks fly. The beast snarls, recoiling, confused. Another hunter throws. A spear cuts the air, glancing off the beast's shoulder. The predator roars, the ground shakes, but it does not advance. It hesitates, and in that hesitation, a new thought takes root. If wood can fly, if stone can pierce, if death can be hurled from the hand, then the hunter is no longer the beast. The hunter is you. The spear is not just a weapon, it is a promise that you will never again stand unarmed before the dark. The fire hisses, the spears gleam, the cat paces. For a heartbeat, it feels as if the world itself has paused, caught between two futures. One where the predator feeds, and one where you endure. The beast is strength. That much is certain, but strength is not enough. The saber-tooth knows one way of living. It crouches, it waits, it leaps, it kills. That pattern has never changed. For hundreds of thousands of years, it has stalked the same way, struck the same way, killed the same way. Instinct perfect, unbending, eternal. But you are different. Your kind does not just act, it remembers. The scars on a hunter's leg become a story told by firelight. The path of the moon becomes a lesson for when to move, when to stay. The way one spear flew too short becomes a teaching for the next. You are not trapped in instinct. You are shaped by memory. The beast does not learn, but you do. When one dies, another takes the lesson. When one tribe falters, another watches, listens, and carries the memory forward. Knowledge becomes inheritance, a gift heavier than blood. And so the game begins to change. The predator is stronger, yes. Faster, yes. Deadlier, beyond doubt. But it cannot adapt, it cannot teach, it cannot dream. You, though, you can imagine. In your mind you can see what does not yet exist. A sharper point, a harder stone, a trap waiting in the grass. You can rehearse the kill before it happens, testing it in thought, perfecting it before bone and blood are risked. The saber-tooth lives in the present. You live in the future. One day, archaeologists will uncover this truth in the bones themselves. They will find butchery marks on mammoth ribs that tell of coordinated strikes. They will find stone tips scattered across plains, proof of ambush and planning. They will find red ochre smeared on cave walls, not for survival, but for memory, for story, for teaching. But you do not know these names. You only know the feeling rising in your chest as the beast growls at the edge of the flames. The feeling that you are more than weak flesh, more than meat, more than fear. Because while the predator has instinct, you have imagination. And imagination is a weapon sharper than any fang. The fire protects the night. The spear carries death at a distance. The mind remembers. But there is another truth, one even the beasts cannot deny. The land itself can be bent to your will. At first, it is only instinct. The tribe sleeps high on the ridge instead of in the low grass. From the hilltop, you see the predator's eyes before it sees you. You hear the crunch of bone, the crack of branches, long before danger comes close. You learn to place your camp not where the earth is soft, but where the rock is sharp. Not where the water runs wide, but where it narrows, where danger can only come from one side. The land becomes a wall, but the wall is only the beginning. You find that bones can be scattered around the edge of camp. When stepped on, they break, crack, rattle. A warning, the first alarm system of mankind. You string shells together, hang them where the wind can move them, where passing predators brush against them. The sound is strange, unnatural. Sometimes it drives the beasts away before the fire must even rise. And then comes the leap, not only to hide within the land, but to shape it. Rocks are stacked in rings. Pits are dug, covered with branches, waiting for the careless step of a beast. Logs are rolled to the edge of cliffs, waiting to thunder down onto the herd below. These are not just defenses. These are plans. Plans written not on parchment, but on earth itself. Archaeologists will one day uncover traces of this strategy. They will find mammoth bones arranged in circles on the plains of Ukraine, 25,000 years old, the remnants of shelters built from giants. They will find kill sites where herds of bison and reindeer were driven into natural traps, canyons, marshes, riverbeds. They will call these game drives. You will call them survival, and survival turns to power. For the first time, you realize that the world itself can be made into a weapon, that cliffs and rivers can be as sharp as stone, that even the shape of the land can fight at your side. The predator is muscle and tooth. You are rock and river. You are cliff and fire. You are the earth itself. Tonight, you sit high above the valley. The saber-tooth prowls below, pacing, frustrated, its hunger unsatisfied. Your fire burns bright, your spears are ready, the rocks heavy at the cliff's edge. It growls, eyes flashing in the dark. You meet its gaze, but you do not move. The land is yours now. And the beast belongs to the night. The saber-tooth has claws. The mammoth has tusks. The wolf has fangs. But you have a voice. At first it is simple. A grunt to warn, a shout to scatter birds, a cry to call others to the hunt. But slowly the sounds become more, one sound for danger, another for water, another still for fire. Each call is memory wrapped in air, meaning carried by breath. Where instinct ends, communication begins. And when voices join, something happens that no beast can rival. Chaos becomes order. Order becomes power. The predators do not understand this. They hear the sudden storm of noise, clapping, shouting, sticks pounding against logs, and mistake it for confusion. They think you are afraid. They think you are breaking apart. But it is the opposite. Noise is not fear. Noise is strategy. A chorus of voices confuses the predator. A wall of shouts makes a lone beast believe it faces many. Echoes in the valley stretch your presence beyond your true number, making 10 sound like 50. The land magnifies your breath until your tribe is no longer flesh and bone, but thunder in the night. Archaeologists will one day find the hollow bones of flutes carved 40,000 years ago, shaped by hands that knew music could stir the heart, could bind a group together, could frighten beasts from the firelight. They will find caves where walls seem to hum when struck, chambers chosen for their echoes, the earliest theaters, the earliest weapons of sound. The wolf howls to call its pack, but you sing to become more than yourself. With rhythm you coordinate, with song you remember, with story you teach, and with a single cry you command. This is not just survival. This is the birth of something new, something that no predator, no beast, no fang or claw could ever match. This is the birth of language. The ground trembles beneath its paws. A shadow glides between the trees, a shape older than kings, deadlier than nightmares. The saber-tooth, the lion of ice and bone, its fangs gleam like daggers in the firelight, its breath is hot with hunger. For a moment you remember what you once were, prey. But this time you do not run, the tribe gathers close. Fires burn in a wide circle, a glowing crown carved into the darkness. Children are pulled behind walls of spears. The hunters spread like fingers of a hand, each knowing their place. Noise erupts, shouts, stone against stone, the clash of wood and bone. The predator freezes, unsure. Once it was you who feared the night. Now it is the beast that hesitates. A torch arcs through the air, landing in the grass. Flames leap like serpents, and smoke curls upward. The circle of fire tightens, the trap closing. Then comes the spear, not thrown by accident, not in panic, but aimed, balanced, and hurled with the strength of memory, the knowledge of countless hunts before. The wooden shaft whistles through the night, tipped with sharpened stone. It strikes. The great beast roars, not the cry of a hunter, but the cry of something that has been challenged. The tribe does not scatter. They advance. Another spear flies. Then another. The predator lunges, claws ripping earth, but it does not reach the fire. The atlatl sings, hurling death from a distance the beast cannot cross. Torches whip through the air like burning comets. Shouts rise into the night until the forest itself seems to scream. And for the first time in hundreds of thousands of years, the balance shifts. The saber-tooth Lord of Fear, Master of the Dark, steps back. Not in victory, not in hunger, but in doubt. It retreats, slowly, bleeding, defeated. The tribe does not chase. They do not need to, for they have won something greater than a kill. They have claimed the night. From this night forward, the predators of the earth will look upon fire and hesitate. They will hear the cries of human voices and falter. They will see the glint of stone and remember the sting of spears. We were not the strongest, we were not the fastest, but together with fire, with stone, with voice and memory, we became something new, not prey, not victim, but hunter, but master, but human. The earth no longer belongs to the beasts. It belongs to us. And so begins the true story of mankind, not a tale of claws and fangs, but of thought and fire. The night is silent now. The fire burns low, its smoke curling into a sky full of stars. Your people rest around it, not in fear, but in triumph. The great cat has retreated. Its shadow fades into the forest. And for the first time you realize the world itself has changed. The beasts still rule in muscle. The mammoth still thunders across the plains. The cave bear still sleeps in its hollow throne. The eagle still owns the sky. But beneath it all, something new has stirred. Something invisible. Something no claw can shred, no fang can pierce. Memory. Strategy. Fire. You sit by the embers, and the tribe whispers of what just happened. Already the story grows. Already it becomes legend. A child will remember the circle of fire. A hunter will recall the spear that struck true. And when the tribe moves, they will carry that story with them, passing it on like flame from torch to torch. In time, this memory will grow into tradition, tradition into culture, culture into civilization. The saber-tooth will vanish. The mammoth will fall. The bear will dwindle. But the stories will endure. Every victory is more than survival. It is a seed planted in the soil of time, destined to bloom into cities, into kingdoms, into the vast sweep of history. And yet this triumph is fragile. The ice still grips the land. Hunger still stalks your people. The wilderness is vast, and predators are many. The fire crackles, the tribe sleeps. But at the edge of the camp a shadow lingers. Eyes glint in the dark, not feline, not saber, not cat. They are the eyes of the wolf. Once this animal was your rival. It followed your trail, stalked your children, stole meat from your kills. The wolf is fast where you are slow. It hears what you cannot. It smells the hunt hours before you. And when its pack moves as one, even the strongest prey falls. For tens of thousands of years, you and the wolf are enemies. But hunger makes strange companions. One night, a half-starved wolf lingers closer than it should. It does not snarl. It does not strike. It only waits, ribs sharp against its skin, eyes locked on the bones tossed aside by your fire. The child notices first. A hand extends. A scrap of marrow is offered. The wolf takes it, not with gratitude, but with silence. It withdraws into the night. The next night it returns, and the next, and the next. Soon the wolf is not one wolf, but two, then three, cautious, watching, never fully trusted, but always near. The tribe begins to notice something strange. The nights feel safer. Predators linger further away. The air itself seems sharper, cleaner, alive with warning. Because the wolves, in their own way, have begun to guard the fire. What begins as scraps becomes something more. What begins as rivalry becomes alliance. The wolves learn your patterns. They hear your whistles. They read the flick of your hand. They move where you direct them, hunters beside hunters. And in return, you share warmth. You share fire. You share a bond older than kings, older than nations, older than memory itself. Archaeologists will one day find their bones buried beside yours, curled as if in sleep, the first grave of companions. They will call them the first domesticated animals. But that word domestication is too small, too clean. This is not ownership. This is brotherhood. You and the wolf, once enemies, are now something greater. Two predators who choose not to fight each other, but to fight the world together. The wolf gives you its senses. You give it your fire. And between you both, a pact is born, the first alliance, the first friendship, the first step toward taming the wild. And from this bond, everything will change. The hunt is over. The tribe returns with meat. The fire roars, bellies are full, and the night is quiet. But deep in the cave, where the firelight barely reaches, another fire begins to burn, not of wood, but of vision. A hand presses against the stone. Pigment smears. Red ochre, black charcoal, yellow clay. Shapes begin to form. At first they are simple, lines, dots, handprints. But then the walls come alive. A bison charges, frozen mid-stride. A mammoth thunders, its tusks curling with impossible weight. A lion crouches, ready to leap. The walls remember the hunt, long after the blood has dried. You crouch in the flicker of the torch, watching these shapes dance in shadow. And something stirs inside you, something no beast will ever feel. Memory, yes, but more than memory. meaning. These are not just drawings, they are spells. To paint the hunt is to relive it. To trace the outline of the beast is to summon it. To press your handprint against the wall is to whisper, I was here, I survived, remember me. Later, archaeologists will walk these caves, Lascaux, Chauvet, Altamira. They will marvel at the colors, the detail, the rhythm of the scenes. They will argue, were these records, were they rituals, were they art? But you know the truth. They were all of these things, and more. The cave becomes a cathedral, the wall becomes a book, the story becomes eternal. By the light of fire, you begin to dream of more than meat and survival. You dream of ancestors watching from the stone, of spirits guiding the hunt, of forces beyond tooth and claw. The predator has claws, the mammoth has tusks, but you have imagination. And imagination is the sharpest weapon of all. For the hunt may end, the fire may die, the flesh may rot, but the story endures. The story becomes immortal. And so, deep in the darkness of stone, humanity does something no other creature has ever done. We turn survival into memory. We turn memory into myth. And we turn myth into power. The walls remember, and through them so will we. The hunt ends, but one of your own does not return. A spear missed its mark. A predator struck too fast. Or perhaps the ice itself took them, silent and merciless. The body lies still. The fire burns low. And for the first time you feel a question rise in your chest. What happens now? The wolves do not ask this. The lion does not wonder. The mammoth does not mourn. But you do. You cannot leave the body to rot, not like prey. This one was not prey. This one was family. And so the tribe gathers stones. They dig into the cold earth. They cover the body with red ochre, the color of blood, the color of life, as if to paint vitality back into the flesh. They place tools beside the body, a spear, a scraper, a necklace of bone, not because the dead will use them, but because some part of you believes they might. The grave becomes more than a hole in the ground. It becomes a promise, a whisper that death is not the end. Later, archaeologists will find these Grave, Escul, Cafse, Shanida. They will see pollen sprinkled over the bones, suggesting flowers placed by hand. They will find the curled skeletons painted with red ochre, gifts laid upon their chests. They will argue, was this ritual? Was this belief? Was this religion? But you know, this was love, this was fear, this was hope. The firelight flickers, and the tribe tells stories of the one who is gone. They speak of hunts shared, of laughter by the river, of courage in the face of beasts. And then, as the stories flow, something greater is born. The idea that the dead are not lost, only waiting. That their spirit lingers in the wind, in the stone, in the fire. That when you dream, it is not just the minds wandering, but their voices speaking from beyond. The predators have strength, the beasts have power, but only you have the dead, and the dead do not vanish. They walk with you, they guide you. They whisper through ritual, through memory, through the bones buried beneath the earth. This is the first religion. The first gods are not in the sky. They are in the bones of your kin, in the shadows of caves, in the whispers of the night wind. And with them, death is no longer terror. Death becomes mystery. Mystery becomes belief. And belief becomes power. From this moment on, no beast can ever truly kill you. Flesh may fall, but the story, the spirit, will endure. The night is thick with smoke. The fire burns low, not for warmth, but for vision. Around it, the tribe gathers in silence. At the center stands one figure, draped in animal skins, crowned with antlers, face painted with ash and blood. A hunter, yes, but something more, the shaman. You do not know the word yet, but you know the role. This is the one who listens where no one else dares. The one who walks in dreams and returns with secrets. The one who speaks with the dead and calls upon the spirits of beast and storm. The drum begins. A hollow beat, like the echo of a heart in the belly of the earth, slow at first, then faster, faster, until the rhythm blurs the line between waking and dream. The shaman breathes smoke, sways, trembles, eyes roll back. The antler crown catches the firelight, casting monstrous shadows on the cave wall. And then the voice changes. It is not his voice anymore. It is older. It is heavier. It is the voice of something beyond flesh. The tribe leans forward. They do not doubt. They cannot. Because when the shaman speaks, the world itself seems to shift. He names the places where prey will wander. He warns of storms not yet seen. He whispers the names of the dead. And somehow he is right. Later, skeptics will say it was chance, that shamans were clever hunters, keen observers, tricksters who knew how to bend belief. But in this moment, there is no trick. There is only mystery. The shaman becomes the bridge between life and death, between predator and prey, between human and the unknown. Through him, animals are not just beasts, they are spirits with voices. The bison is strength. The wolf is loyalty. The eagle is vision. The bear is power. And through him, death is not an end, but a door. A door only he can open, only he can pass through. The predators have instinct. The beasts have muscle. But you have the shaman, a map not just of the land, but of the unseen. A guide not just for the hunt, but for the soul. The tribe bows their heads as the drum slows. The shaman collapses, sweating, shaking, alive but changed. And in that silence, the people know they are not alone. The spirits walk with them. The ancestors guard them. The world is more than teeth and claws. The world is magic. The predator has teeth. The mammoth has tusks. The cave bear has claws. And you have wood. At first, it is only a stick, sharpened at one end, thrown by hand. But the stick is not enough. The beasts are too strong, too fast, too far. So you change the stick. You change the throw. You change the world. A cord is twisted, sinew pulled tight. Wood bends, groaning under the tension. And when it snaps forward, the arrow flies. For the first time, death travels not with the strength of your arm, but with the snap of invention. The bow is born. With the bow, distance is no longer safety. The mammoth on the horizon feels your reach. The deer in the forest is struck before it knows fear. The predators that once ruled the dark now hesitate, for even from the shadows, your arrows whisper of death. But the bow is only the beginning. The earth itself becomes your ally. You dig pits in the soil, sharpened stakes at their base. You weave nooses of fiber, hidden beneath leaves. You line rivers with stone to trap fish, bending the current to your will. The beasts rely on muscle. You rely on patience. A snare waits when you sleep. A pit kills when you are far away. Your hand need not strike, the world itself strikes for you. And then, in the long winters, another challenge arises. Not the predator, not the hunt, but the cold. The ice cuts sharper than any fang. It steals breath, stills blood, kills without mercy. But even here you adapt. You sew skins together with bone needles. You stretch furs into cloaks, into boots, into hoods. Where once the cave was your only refuge, now you build shelters, huts of bone and hide, framed with wood, fires smouldering at their heart. The mammoth has its fur. The cave bear has its den. But you have invention. The bow, the snare, the shelter, each is a defiance, a refusal, a whisper into the face of extinction. We will not die. And so the balance tilts further. The predators shrink back. The beasts fall in greater number. And humanity grows. Not because of strength, not because of speed, but because you learn to bend the world itself. The forest gives meat. The plains give herds. But the water gives everything. Fish flash beneath the surface like silver spirits. Birds skim across the waves. The river carries branches, bones, the scent of faraway lands. At first you stand at its edge, afraid. The water is too strong. It pulls, it drags, it drowns. Those who fall into its current do not return. But hunger drives courage, and courage drives invention. A branch becomes a spear. You wade into the shallows, thrusting into the schools of flashing bodies. But the fish are fast, too fast. So you wait. You weave nets from fiber, stones at the edges, hands pulling tight. And suddenly the water yields its treasure. The tribe feasts. Bellies full, bones strong. The river becomes a second hunting ground. But soon you wonder, what lies on the other side? Logs are bound with sinew. Reeds are woven into rafts. A fire-hardened paddle pushes you forward, not drifting now, but steering. The water no longer commands you. You command it. The river, once a boundary, becomes a road. You glide through its currents, silent as a shadow, faster than feet can carry. Where before tribes were alone, cut off by lakes and seas, now they meet. They trade stories, tools, fire. They share songs carried like cargo, words spreading like sparks. The water, feared and worshipped, becomes a highway of memory. The first map is not drawn on stone. It is sung, bends of the river remembered in rhythm, landmarks carried in story. But the water is not just road, it is battlefield, it is refuge, it is myth. Sometimes a raft does not return. Sometimes a storm rises, swallowing the hunter's whole. And so the river becomes a spirit in itself, giver of life, taker of life. You offer bones to it, meat, blood, as if to bargain. You sing to it before crossing, voices trembling in rhythm with the waves. Later, archaeologists will find shell beads traded hundreds of miles inland, obsidian carried across seas, proof of journeys so daring they seem impossible. They will wonder how fragile humans crossed vast waters. But you know the truth. It was not fragility, it was defiance. The predator has claws, the mammoth has tusks, but you have the river. And now the river remembers you. The hunt fed you. The rivers carried you. But the world was changing. The herds you followed grew scarce. The forests, once overflowing with roots and berries, offered less each season. Storms grew longer, summers shorter. Your tribe wandered farther and farther for the same scraps of survival. And then one day a woman kneels in the dust. She holds a seed in her hand, small, fragile, meaningless. She presses it into the soil, the earth cracked and dry. She forgets it. Seasons pass. And then, green, a stalk rises. Food grows where once there was nothing. It is not enough to feed the tribe, not yet, but it is a spark, a question, a promise. What if the land itself could be hunted? What if the soil could be tamed? You scatter more seeds, you wait. Rain comes, sometimes too much, sometimes not enough. Some crops die, others thrive. And for the first time you are not chasing food, you are waiting for it. The rhythm of life shifts, no longer ruled only by the chase of the herd or the migration of rivers, now ruled by the seasons, the cycles of sun and rain. Time itself begins to change. And with farming comes fire, not for warmth, not for hunting, but for clearing. Forests are cut. Grasslands burned to ash, made fertile. Villages rise where camps once stood. But with villages come enemies. The land is wealth. The seed is power. Other tribes see your fields, your stores of grain, your fattened animals, and hunger grows in their eyes. For the first time, you fight not over meat or bones, but over land. The soil beneath your feet becomes worth killing for, worth dying for. Archaeologists will one day call this the Neolithic Revolution. But for you, it is a gamble with survival itself. Will the rains return? Will the crops grow? Will strangers come with fire and blades to steal what you planted? The wild still calls. The forests, the rivers, the chase of the mammoth. But the seed calls louder. It offers something no hunt ever did, the dream of tomorrow. No longer are you prey drifting from fire to fire, place to place. You are rooted. For the first time in history, you belong to the land. And the land belongs to you. The seed is more than food. It is destiny. It is the first whisper of forever. The night is still dangerous. Eyes glimmer in the dark. Claws scrape against the earth. The fire burns, but predators still wait just beyond its reach. And then the howl. At first it is a sound of terror. A wolf's cry, sharp, echoing, announcing the hunt. But something changes. One wolf does not attack. One wolf lingers at the edge of the camp. It is thin, ribs sharp beneath its fur, desperate enough to risk firelight. The tribe should kill it. Yet someone throws a bone instead. The wolf eats. It does not leave. Days pass. The wolf follows. It warns of dangers, its growls pulling eyes toward shadows before teeth strike. And slowly, a pact is born, not spoken, not written. An understanding carved in hunger and need. The wolf becomes dog. The predator becomes ally. And in time, it will become more than ally, it will become family. A partner in the hunt, a guard in the night, a spirit bound to humanity's fate. But the wolf is only the beginning. Goats are taken from the cliffs, sheep from the meadows. Wild cattle, aurochs, beasts with horns like spears are driven into pens. At first they rage, smashing fences, goring the careless. Many die. But those who survive, the gentler ones, the ones who yield, are kept. Their children are born weaker, calmer, easier to control. Generations pass, and soon the wild is reshaped. The milk of goats fills clay bowls. The wool of sheep warms the coldest winters. The strength of cattle pulls weight no human could bear. Animals once hunted are now harnessed. The balance of power shifts again. Where once the world hunted you, now you bend it to your will. But this bond is not only practical, it is spiritual. You carve the shapes of bulls into cave walls. You raise bones into shrines. You whisper to the dog as if it understands every word, and in its eyes, perhaps it does. Archaeologists will one day measure the bones of wolves shrinking into dogs, trace the path of sheep from wild to tame, study cattle buried with honors beside their owners. They will call it domestication, but you know it is something deeper. It is alliance. It is trust. It is the first step in a partnership that will reshape the earth itself. For the predator who walked beside you changed everything. It taught you that even the fiercest wild could be tamed. That survival was not only claw against claw, tooth against tooth, it could be together. And so, humanity did not just conquer the land. It rewrote the bonds of life itself. You think you have conquered the wild. The wolf guards your fire. The goat yields milk. The sheep gives its wool. The fields bloom with grain. For the first time, bellies are full, children grow strong, and the tribe feels safe. But safety is an illusion. The very beasts you tame carry invisible dangers. The goat coughs. The child coughs after. The fever spreads like fire through the camp. No claws, no fangs, yet more deadly than any predator. Plagues are born in pens and huts, sickness crossing from animal to human. Measles, smallpox, influenza, names not yet spoken, but already seeded in your bloodline. The hidden enemies of flesh, unseen, unstoppable. And the grain you store, your hard-won wealth, breeds another kind of hunger. Rats slip through cracks, gnawing at baskets. Insects devour stalks before harvest. One bad season, one failed crop, and the village starves, trapped in the land they thought would save them. The hunt had risk, but it also had freedom. Now you are chained to the soil. If the rains do not come, you do not eat. If the river floods, your fields drown. If strangers come with fire, they do not just steal your food, they steal your future. For the first time, war is born. Not for bones, not for meat, but for land, for harvests, for herds. The spear that once defended against beasts is now lifted against man, and blood spills on fields that were meant to feed. Inequality takes root. Some families hoard grain, their storerooms full while others starve. Power belongs not to the strongest hunter now, but to the one who controls the harvest. The first kings are not warriors, they are hoarders. The first prisons are not cages, they are hunger. Archaeologists will one day find skeletons scarred by disease, villages burned to ash, mass grave of those killed not by predators, but by neighbors. They will see evidence of famine in the teeth of children, of parasites in bones, of inequality in burial goods. And they will know the truth. Every victory carries a cost. The dog that guards you also brings fleas. The cow that feeds you also carries plague. The field that sustains you also chains you. You thought you had mastered survival, but survival has only changed its shape. The wild no longer hunts you. Now you hunt each other. And so, humanity steps into a new struggle, not against beasts of fur and fang, but against the hidden predators of hunger, sickness, and greed. The campfire circle is gone. The wandering trail is gone. Now the people stay. First, it is only a cluster of huts, reed and mud, gathered close around a water source. But season after season, the huts remain. Children are born here, not on the road. The dead are buried here beneath the floors, as if their bones hold the village in place. The first walls rise, not of stone, but of earth. Ditches are dug. Stakes are driven deep, sharpened at the top. A barrier against beasts and against other tribes who covet your fields. Within the walls, life changes. Noise grows. Smoke thickens. No longer does every hand hunt, every foot wander. Some shape clay into pots, some weave cloth, some sharpen blades not for animals but for men. Specialists are born, and with them trade. Obsidian from the mountain passes, shells from the sea, ochre pigments for painting bodies and walls. The first marketplaces are not built of stone, but of voices, barter echoing like a new kind of music. But with trade comes hierarchy. Some hold more, some hold less. The seeds of power deepen, roots twisting into the soil of human ambition. Shrines rise. Clay figurines of mothers with wide hips and swollen bellies, carved bulls with horns high and curved. Food is stored not only in granaries, but offered to gods who may or may not exist. The unseen is worshipped. The unknown is bargained with. Archaeologists will one day uncover walls at Jericho, standing higher than the body of a man, guarding a cluster of mud brick houses. They will find Sattelherjuk, with its maze of rooftops, homes pressed together like honeycomb, no streets, only ladders to climb between them. They will see murals of hunters and beasts, of men dancing in circles, of gods staring from the plaster. And they will realize, this is where humanity stopped being only a tribe. This is where humanity became a people. But the walls are both promise and prison. Within them, life is secure, but also fragile. Disease spreads faster, the air heavy with smoke. Food runs low when harvests fail. And always, always, there is the shadow of war. For the first time, the question is no longer, how will I survive the night? It is, how will we survive the generations to come? And so the huts become houses, the villages become towns. And the towns, they dream of becoming something greater still. Not just walls of earth, but monuments of stone. The walls keep out the beasts, the fields give grain, the herds give milk and wool. But there are still things no wall can hold back. The storm, the drought, the sickness that creeps through huts in the night. And so you look upward. The fire crackles in the center of the village. Shadows dance on the mud brick walls. A figure rises, painted in ash and ochre, voice trembling like the earth itself. He points to the sky, to the stars burning above, and says, "This is not chance. This is not chaos. This is will." And the tribe listens, because they must. The first gods are not distant, not abstract. They are the bull that tramples fields, the storm that shatters huts, the river that swells and drowns. They are fear given a name. They are hope given a face. Offerings are made. A bowl of grain poured into the earth. A lamb's blood spilled on the soil. A prayer whispered to the dark. If the storm breaks, it means the gods have heard. If the crops grow, it means the gods are pleased. And if they do not, then you did not give enough. The shrines grow larger. No longer just figurines hidden in the corner of a hut, but altars raised high, plastered with skulls of bulls, painted with red hands reaching upward. The village gathers there, bound together not by blood alone, but by story. For the first time, belief itself becomes survival. It unites the many. It explains the unknown. It gives courage to fight, to endure, to hope. Archaeologists will one day uncover plastered skulls at Jericho, human faces remade with clay, shells for eyes staring from the past. They will find the mother goddess figures of Sattelherjuk, round and fertile, sitting on her throne between lions. They will see the carvings of predators, of suns, of rivers, etched into walls. And they will realize here, in these mud brick towns, myth was born. But myths are not only stories, they are power. The one who speaks for the gods holds sway over those who listen. The first shamans, the first priests, stand at the heart of the village, voices heavy with authority, eyes painted with secrets. They promise rain, healing, protection, if only the people obey. And so, survival is no longer just about the spear, the bow, or the fire. It is about belief. It is about the unseen. It is about the gods in the firelight. For humans are not only builders of walls, we are builders of meaning. And once belief takes root, it grows deeper than any seed. The wild still exists. Wolves still howl beyond the walls. Storms still tear across the fields. But the greatest danger is no longer the predator or the sky or the river. It is the village beyond the horizon. Your walls rise, thick with earth and stone. Your fields ripple golden with grain. Your pens are full of cattle, fat and restless. And across the plain another village sees it. They hunger, and hunger breeds war. The first raids are small, shadows slipping over ditches in the night. A fire set to huts, a granary emptied, a child stolen to weaken one bloodline and strengthen another. But soon the raids grow larger. Now dozens of men gather, spears sharpened, shields woven of wood and hide. They paint their bodies with ash, with ochre, with the blood of animals. They march as one, chanting, stamping, voices rising like thunder. The spear once raised against the mammoth now pierces human flesh. The bow, once loosed against the deer, now sends arrows into men. The fire that once kept predators at bay now burns homes to ash. Archaeologists will one day uncover skeletons with arrowheads lodged in bone, skulls split by axes of stone. They will find walls toppled, settlements burned, mass grave dug in haste. They will see the marks of the first true battles etched into the earth itself. And they will know, this is when the spear turned inward. But war is not only death. It is invention. Spears are hardened, axes sharpened, bows strengthened with sinew. The shield is born, the helmet. The wall itself rises higher, thicker, ring upon ring of defense. War also creates story. The fallen are mourned not as victims, but as heroes. Songs are sung of hunters turned warriors, of men who died with a spear in hand. Myth is twisted to justify blood. The gods demand sacrifice, and sometimes that sacrifice is your enemy. Yet even in this age of blood, something greater begins to form. Villages grow into tribes, tribes into alliances. The many unite to face the many. War forges identity. For the first time, you are not only hunter, not only farmer, not only villager. You are something larger. You are us. And against you there is always them. The predator once taught you fear. Now humanity teaches itself war. And the earth, once wild and silent, begins to echo with the clash of men. The war drums fade. The smoke of raided huts drifts into the sky. But beyond the ashes, another story unfolds. Not of spears and blood, but of hands reaching across the horizon. For the earth is wide. No single village holds everything it needs. One has obsidian, black glass sharper than tooth or claw. Another has salt, white crystals that keep meat through the long winter. Another lives near the sea, where shells glimmer like stars and fish leap into nets. And hunger not just for food, but for beauty, for power, for the rare, drives the people to move. At first, it is simple. A hunter walks to the next valley, carrying flint blades. He returns with salt. But step by step, valley by valley, the threads grow longer. Soon, obsidian from volcanoes in Anatolia gleams in the hands of people hundreds of miles away. Shells from distant seas are buried with the dead far inland. Amber, glowing like frozen sunlight, passes from one tribe to another, its origin lost, but its value unquestioned. The first trade routes are not roads, they are footsteps. They are rivers. They are stories carried mouth to mouth, hand to hand, and with objects come ideas. A new style of pottery appears, copied and remade. A strange tool is borrowed, tested, improved. Songs, myths, and gods themselves drift across lands, reshaping in every village they touch. The world, once small, grows vast. The tribe, once alone, becomes part of something greater. Archaeologists will one day marvel at this invisible web. They will find obsidian from Cappadocia in far-off villages, beads of Mediterranean shell deep in the heart of Europe, red ochre traded across thousands of miles. They will trace these threads like veins of blood across the body of the ancient world. But you know it not as science. You know it as wonder, a new color never seen before, a new song sung by strangers, a god with a face both alien and familiar. Trade is not peace. The spear still waits, hidden behind smiles. Sometimes a caravan arrives with gifts. Sometimes it arrives with fire. But the promise of trade is stronger than fear. For even war cannot give what the earth withholds. And so, slowly, the world begins to weave itself together. Not with iron, not with empires, not yet. But with beads, with shells, with stones carried in calloused hands. With stories whispered by strangers at the edge of the fire. With threads that stretch farther than the eye can see. Threads across the earth. Threads that will one day become the fabric of civilization. For 100,000 years, your home has been the shifting camp, a circle of fire, a ring of huts, a place that disappears as quickly as it is made. But the world changes. Rivers swell with fish. Fields, once wild, now yield grain that does not vanish with the season. Herds, once hunted, now live behind woven fences. Roots sink deep. The camp becomes the village. The village becomes something more, and with permanence comes ambition. At first, it is walls, rings of mud, brick, and stone to keep out beasts, to keep out men. But soon the walls rise higher, not only for defense but for pride, to stand against the horizon, to last beyond the life of the builder. Then monuments, circles of stone, towering uprights crowned with lintels, stones dragged for miles, pulled by ropes and sweat, planted in the earth as though they were seeds. Nobody eats stone, nobody drinks it, yet still they build. Why? To call the gods, to mark the seasons, to bury the dead in chambers of silence, lined with carvings that speak of beasts, of suns, of stars. Somewhere a people gather at Göbekli Tepe. They carve pillars with animals no longer hunted, beasts from dreams. They raise monuments not to kings, there are no kings, but to something older. Spirit, memory, a hunger greater than food. Elsewhere the first towns emerge. Jericho with its stone tower and walls. Sattelhuruk, a maze of mud-brick houses pressed close, rooftops serving as streets. No leaders yet, no armies. But already the pattern is set. People gather, people build, and the world bends around their hands. Stone becomes story. Labor becomes ritual. What was once scattered now stands together, heavier than time itself. Archaeologists will one day brush sand from these stones and ask, who told them to build? What voice said, lift this rock, shape this wall, drag this pillar into place? There is no answer, only silence, heavy as the stones themselves. But you know, because you were there. You felt the hunger to leave a mark that would not vanish with the rain. You felt the pull of something larger than the tribe. You saw the first shadows of civilization rise against the sky. This is not the end of the wild. The forests, the rivers, the beasts remain, but stone has spoken, and stone does not forget. The night sky burns above you, a black canvas pierced by fire. Each star a mystery, each streak of light a message you do not understand. Once you feared the beasts of tooth and claw. Now you fear the silence between the stars, and in that silence you hear voices. It begins with whispers, a shaman's chant, a drum echoing against stone, the smoke of herbs curling toward the heavens. One hunter sees a vision in the flames. Another hears a voice in the thunder. Soon the tribe listens, and belief takes root. The gods are born. They live in the river that floods without warning. They crouch in the storm that splits trees like kindling. They blaze in the sun that brings both life and death. They linger in the dark soil, in the buried bones, in the strange pull of the moon. At first they are everywhere, beasts, trees, stones. Every shape is sacred, every shadow alive. But as the villages grow, so too do the gods. They take form. They demand ritual. They demand blood. Göbekli Tepe's carved beasts become guardians of mysteries. Stone circles become calendars of worship. Fires burn not for warmth, but for sacrifice. The people kneel, and with them a new power rises. The priest, not the strongest hunter, not the bravest warrior, but the one who speaks with the unseen, the one who tells the tribe what the gods desire, and in that telling gains a power no claw can match. Do this, he says, and the rains will come. Offer this, he whispers, and your child will live. The people believe, because to doubt is to invite death. To doubt is to risk the anger of gods who cannot be seen, yet who shape the world with invisible hands. Religion becomes the glue that binds more than blood. Different clans gather under the same rituals, the same gods. Ceremony spreads across valleys and rivers. Sacred stories become law. The tribe is no longer just family, it is faith. And with faith comes obedience. With obedience comes hierarchy. With hierarchy comes something new. Power beyond the spear. But power is dangerous. The same fire that warms can also burn. And soon, belief will not only unite tribes, it will divide them. Because where there are many gods, there will also be war. The priests do not know it yet, but they have lit a fire in the human soul that will never go out. The gods will never return to silence, and men will never again be free of their voices. You stand at the edge of the fields. Behind you the walls rise mud, stone and sweat stacked high. Before you, across the river, smoke curls from another village. They are not kin, they do not share your gods, and their fields are rich with grain. The earth is no longer endless. Its rivers are already claimed. Its herds are already fenced. Where once there was space, now there is boundary. And where there is boundary, there is blood. The first raids are swift, a spear through the dark. a torch against a thatched roof. No battles, only ambush, theft, and flight. But each raid demands an answer, and answers pile like stones, until war becomes inevitable. The village gathers. Hunters who once stalked deer now stalk men. Priests bless the spears, muttering to gods of storm and death. Children hide within walls, listening to drums that do not call for dance, but for blood. And so it begins. Screams tear through the night as walls crumble under fire. Men clash in fields where grain once swayed. The first warriors are born, their names etched not in carvings, but in scars. Jericho, with its tower and wall, becomes fortress. Satel-Heruk's rooftops serve as battlements. Stone and mud are no longer shelter, they are weapons. Walls are teeth. Villages are beasts locked in struggle. Why fight? For land, for water, for cattle. But deeper than all, for gods. Because if your god is true, the other must be false. And false gods demand destruction. The first heroes rise. Men who lead the charge, whose deaths are songs. The first tyrants rise. Men who claim power not through vision, but through violence. Both are remembered. Both shape the world. The battlefield is primitive. No swords yet, no bronze, no chariots. Only clubs, spears, slings, and fire. But death is death, whether by tooth or by stone. And for the first time, humanity becomes its own greatest predator. You are no longer prey of lions, tigers, or bears. You are prey of your neighbor. And there is no beast more dangerous than man. The gods watch in silence. Perhaps they smile. For their voices, once whispers in the dark, now roar over fields drenched in blood. And humanity, still young, learns a lesson that will never be forgotten. The walls that protect can also divide. And from division comes war. The raids no longer end. They bleed into seasons, into years. One village rises, another falls. The earth is littered with charred posts, broken walls, shattered skulls. Chaos cannot last forever. Order is forged in fire. At first, war is every man for himself, hunters turned fighters, charging with clubs and spears. But as battles grow larger, the tribes learn, chaos kills more of your own than the enemy. And so, the first discipline, the first ranks, the first armies. Men gather in lines, shields overlapping, spears braced. Others flank, hurling stones from slings that whistle like angry spirits. Some guard the fires. Some dig ditches, shaping the earth itself into a weapon. The hunt has become the drill. The warrior, once wild, now moves with the precision of a pack. But unlike beasts, men can plan. And planning is deadlier than claws. Leadership emerges. Not just chiefs who boast of bloodline, but commanders, men who see the field, who predict, who deceive. They are not merely brave. They are cunning. And in war, cunning outweighs courage. Soon, war is no longer just survival. It is ambition. A strong leader can unite 3 villages, 5, 10. With each conquest, his following grows. With each battle, his legend spreads. From warlords come kings. From followers come nations. And the gods, they march with the armies. Priests walk behind the warriors, chanting, carrying idols raised on poles. Victory becomes proof of divine favor. Defeat becomes evidence of sin. Every battle is a sermon, every corpse a sacrifice. The weapons sharpen too. Spears tipped with flint give way to hardened points, barbed for tearing. Clubs sprout stone heads. Axes appear, their edges honed to bite through wood and flesh. The battlefield groans with invention. And soon, sieges. Walls, once protection, become targets. Men dig tunnels beneath them, burn gates, hurl stones, choke defenders with smoke. The war does not end when the enemy retreats. It ends when his walls collapse, when his hearths burn, when his children are taken as slaves. This is the transformation. The tribe becomes the army. The raid becomes the campaign. And man learns to wage war not for survival, but for power. You see it now, the steppe, the river valleys, the fertile plains. Each dotted with villages, each dreaming of empire. The age of armies has begun, and with it the endless march of conquest. The battlefield smoulders. Ash drifts where grain once grew. The dead lie silent, but their silence speaks. It says, someone is stronger than you, and strength demands order. Out of the smoke, a figure rises, not just a warrior, not just a hunter. A man who commands others, not with fear alone, but with promise. He gathers the survivors. He offers them protection. He offers them food. And most of all, he offers them victory. He is the first king. His power is not in his hands alone. It is in the hundreds of hands that raise spears at his command. It is in the walls built higher at his word. It is in the priest who declares him chosen by the gods. Man bows not to the man, but to the idea of rule. The village swells. Huts multiply into districts. Fields expand beyond sight. Granaries rise, filled not just for winter, but for the feeding of armies. A council forms, but its voice is drowned beneath the throne. The king is more than chief, more than father. He is law. He is the land itself. And as kings rise, so too do crowns. Not of gold, not yet, but of bone, of feather, of stone circlets carved with symbols no commoner dares to wear. A crown is not food. A throne is not shelter. Yet they hold power greater than spear or wall, because power once imagined becomes real. From this moment, humanity is no longer guided only by kinship or faith. It is guided by hierarchy. The king commands, the warrior obeys. The farmer toils, the priest blesses. Each has their place, and the machine of civilization grinds forward, but kings are not content with what they have. No king sees land enough. No king sees tribute enough. The birth of kings is also the birth of empires. One river valley is conquered by another. One city takes slaves from its rival. One king dares to call himself Lord of the world. The people kneel, and they believe. Because for the first time, survival does not depend only on the spear in your hand. It depends on the throne above you. You are no longer only hunter, no longer only villager. You are subject. You are ruled. And in this moment, history changes forever. Because kings do not die like men. Their bodies rot. Their bones crumble. But their names, their crowns live on. And through them, humanity begins the long march into empire. The crown is not enough. The throne is not enough. The walls, the fields, the rivers, they are never enough. A king's hunger does not stop at the horizon. It reaches beyond. Armies march, not for food, not for shelter, but for dominion. Villages fall like stalks beneath the scythe. Those who surrender live as slaves. Those who resist are erased, their stones scattered, their gods broken. A kingdom becomes more than land. It becomes tribute. It becomes prisoners bound in ropes, oxen driven in herds, carts piled with grain and gold. This is empire. It does not ask. It takes. The first empires rise where rivers flow. The Nile, the Tigris and Euphrates, the Indus. The Yellow River. Water gives food. Food gives armies. Armies give conquest, and conquest gives empire. Now one man commands not hundreds, but tens of thousands. One throne rules over a dozen tribes. The old gods of the villages are gathered, twisted, remade into pantheons that serve not the people, but the empire itself. The king is no longer just chosen by the gods, he becomes a god. His face carved in stone, his voice carried on tablets of clay. His death marked not by a grave, but by pyramids, ziggurats, and tombs that claw at eternity. The world bends beneath empires. Roads stretch across plains. Armies patrol frontiers. Tribute flows like rivers of wealth into the capital. And for those at the center, life glitters with abundance. But empire has a shadow. At its edges, resentment grows. The conquered bow with trembling hands, but their hearts remain unbroken. Whispers rise in the dark. Of rebellion, of freedom, of vengeance. And empires, no matter how vast, are always a breath away from collapse. For the greater the conquest, the greater the weight upon the throne. One king cannot watch every river. One army cannot guard every wall. And empire, like fire, consumes all it touches until nothing is left but ash. Yet the idea has taken root. Tribes will vanish. Villages will fall. Even kingdoms will crumble. But empire endures. Because once men have seen the world gathered under one crown, they will forever chase that dream again. And so, the age of empires begins. It will shape the destiny of mankind. It will build wonders. It will forge laws. It will spread blood across continents. But it will never be satisfied. For empires do not rise to last. They rise to fall. The empire towers around you. Walls stretch to the sky. Markets roar with voices. Temples smoke with sacrifice. Streets echo with the shuffle of thousands of feet. But what is life here in the shadow of greatness? For the farmer, it is dawn in the fields. Hands raw from soil, back bent beneath the sun. The land is not his. The harvest belongs to the granary, the temple, the throne. A portion feeds his family. The rest feeds the empire. His sweat waters not only crops, it waters the machine of power. For the soldier, life is dust and discipline. He drills until his arms ache, shield heavy, spear steady. He marches for days across barren plains, carrying little more than his weapon and hunger. His reward? Bread, a ration of beer, perhaps a share of loot if his commander is generous. But more than anything, the pride of belonging to the army, the spine of the empire. For the craftsman, life is the hum of creation. Potter's wheels spin, bronze is hammered into blades, cloth is dyed in vats of color that stain hands for life. Each object carries his skill, yet once it leaves his workshop, it belongs not to him, but to the market, the temple, the palace. His labor is his signature, though his name is forgotten. For the slave, life is shadow. Captured in war, torn from family, chained to the will of strangers. Some break stones for walls, some haul water from wells. Some serve in the households of the rich, silent and invisible. They have no gods of their own, no rights, no future, only the endless weight of servitude. And for the priest, life is power wrapped in ritual. He rises before dawn to chant, to light fires, to pour libations of wine and oil. He speaks with the gods, or so he claims, and in his words the king finds divine approval. The people kneel, not only before throne and sword, but before altar and chant. The priest binds them with unseen chains, stronger than iron. Above them all sits the ruler, surrounded by stone walls, perfumed chambers, and endless tribute. He eats from silver, drinks from gold, and hears the voices of petitioners from dawn until dusk. But even here at the height of glory, there is fear. Fear of revolt, fear of famine, fear of death, the one enemy even kings cannot conquer. The empire is not a single thing. It is 1,000 lives woven together. It is grain and blood, prayer and whip, spear and plough. It is the greatness of monuments and the misery of those who built them. And as you walk its streets, you feel the truth. Empires are not made of stone. They are made of people, and people are fragile.